412.
Test, 1, 2, 3, test.
All right, good evening. We are going to start off with our school board special session for our fiscal year 26 certified budget public hearing. Call the meeting to order. Jessica, roll call.
Blint.
Here.
Mullen.
Here.
Hampton.
Here.
Maher. Husinga. Here. Williamson.
Here.
Any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
Motion to approve agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Blint.
Yes.
Mullen.
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Husinga. Yes. Williamson.
Yes.
And the item on our agenda is our second of two fiscal year 26 certified budget.
Right. Okay, so the first thing I'll bring up, and Jessica can make any comments, the tax notifications that came out probably 3 weeks ago. You can see our proposed property tax rate for fiscal year 26, $11.97. The current year that we are in, $12.23. And the other document for the budget hearing that we have posted is the budget summary. Now, and all of these are posted online as well. As we've discussed in the Finance Committee meeting, this is about setting the maximum budget, the max budget. It's for its capacity. This is not the budget that we set a line item budget based on our actual revenues. This budget is certifying capacity in the budget. We have a maximum spending authority. We do not go up to we never spend our maximum spending authority. It's our line item budget that is based on our revenues, but we certify capacity in the budget for that spending authority. And again, the total, as you can see, for that authority given is just over $11.97 for fiscal year 26. So when we get to it in our next meeting in the new business, I would recommend that you approve the certified budget at that rate.
Any questions or comments from the board? Any public comments? All right, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned at 6:04. And I'm going to call the April school board meeting to order at 6:04. Jessica, roll call.
Blint.
Here.
Mullen.
Here.
Hampton.
Here.
Maher.
Here.
Husinga. Here. Williamson.
Here.
Any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
Motion to approve agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Blint.
Yes.
Mullen.
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Maher.
Yes.
Husinga. Williamson.
Yes.
Our student spotlight had to cancel last minute. The high school student council regretfully had to decline this morning, so hopefully get that back on the calendar. Any citizen comments?
No citizen, no one contacted me to make citizen comments.
Next, we have approval of minutes, claims, and financial report.
So as Jessica goes over these, again, we did in our finance committee meeting go over both these reports, and we went over expenditures, line by line through the expenditures as well.
Can you use the microphone?
Jessica, can you use that microphone there? And just flip it on the bottom, just flip it to the, there you go.
Okay, so the site right over here, here are our revenues for the month, and this is as of March 31st. We are always reporting on the previous month. April is still ongoing. So these are as of March 31st, and I want to point out that as far as revenues go, in April we receive our second large installment of property taxes. So we will get a big chunk of money in management, in PEPL, in the general fund, and in the instructional support levy. And so next month when I'm presenting April, you will see these those funds closer to 100%. They trickle in monthly, but we do get a large installment in September and a large installment in April. So everything is right on track as far as revenues go. The expenditures in the other column on the other side over there, regarding student activity, right now what we have left to expend money on would be track, golf, baseball, and softball. And in regards to those, any entry fees, or if anyone should have any postseason expenses, or if someone, this always comes up, if someone doesn't turn in a uniform, and we have to buy new uniforms, because you can't just buy one, you have to buy, maybe a minimum of so many. So that would be an expense when we're coming to the end of the year. And then management, all of our insurance premiums are paid in the summer, usually July 1, but we recently, this month, took out a small insurance policy, a small builder's risk for the projects that we're doing at the HOW with the RTU, the equipment that's going up on the roof. Capital projects and the PEPL fund, we continue work at the RTM site, receiving transportation and maintenance site. So those will still continue to have expenses through June 30th as we wrap up that project, and it's still a May 100% completion.
Substantial completion, end of May.
End of May, yeah. So hopefully all of those bills will be in by June 30th, and then we can wrap that project up. As far as debt service, this is just, we've only been receiving the revenue this year. This was our last Apple lease. That is what went in and out of debt service for this fiscal year. And nutrition, I spoke with the director of nutrition this month, and she has placed her order for the different stoves and equipments that she is wanting in there. There are a couple of more things that she is getting bids on, but that will go down over the summer and for an installation as we're trying to eat away at that larger balance. So as of June 30th, we'll wrap up where we need to be in nutrition. And then here, this is condensed down a little bit. This might be easier for you guys to see, but this is last fiscal year and this fiscal year, our balances by fund. We have gained in the general fund, and I just want to remind you, the general fund is 80% personnel. So that is where our salaries and benefits come from. We also, in the general fund, we have any equipment for learning, instructional equipment, or supplies. Just anything needed for instruction is going to come out of that general fund right there. Student activity, we have gained, but again, we go through June 30th, so the expenses will go down some. Management, this is where we pay for our insurance, we pay for property and casualty.
Right. Workers' comp.
Workers' comp, there we go, that's what I was talking about, workers' comp insurance. PEPAL and capital projects, same thing, all of our summer projects, when we're talking about Wisdom Quest, that will come out of one of these two. Mr. Banghouse was here the last month and he went over his capital projects plan for next fiscal year. Debt service, this again will be the Apple lease in and out, and then nutrition, we're trying to spend down that $883,000 balance because again, to be fiscally responsible, we need 3 months of operating costs in there. So all in all, very well, and then here's your bottom line in all of the funds, the total balance. Does anyone have any questions on those? No? Okay.
Motion to approve minutes, claims, and financial report?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Blent,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Ustiga,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
All right, we have reports, and first up is instructional services, our counselors. Welcome.
Yay, counselors. Counselors and social workers, yay.
Okay, hello everyone. We are just a little bit of the school counseling and student support team. So this is everyone that is on our team currently. Tonight we're missing Sasha, the high school counselor. She is on maternity leave. Martha, our student family advocate, is at a tennis, is it match or game? Not sure. And then Tara, she's unable to be here tonight. So we are going to start with some introductions. I think you might have missed one. There you go.
Okay, hi, I'm Jody Manning and I am the school counselor. This year I am at Harlan and Van Allen. The last 2 years I was at Harlan and Lincoln. Prior to becoming a school counselor, I actually taught 4th grade at Van Allen for 7 years. And prior to teaching, I worked in social services, so I did a lot of different things within the community, just providing similar types of services. So.
Okay, I am Lillian Hardcastle. This is my 2nd year as a school counselor. Last year I was at Van Allen in Salem, and then this year I'm at Lincoln in Salem. I graduated from Iowa Wesleyan in 2021 with my bachelor's in psychology and education foundations, and then I just graduated last December with my master's of science in counseling with a focus in schools. I forgot to take this off. This wasn't supposed to be on here, but this is my pride and joy. This is my dog Presley. So.
Hi, I am Allie Brookhart. This is my 4th year in education. I spent 3 years teaching 2nd grade in Burlington at North Hill. This is my first year as a counselor and my first year at the middle school level. I graduated from Iowa Wesleyan in the spring of 2021 with my degree in elementary education and a minor in psychology. And I will be graduating from Buena Vista University on May 3rd with my master's of education in school counseling. I did, throughout this year, I was finishing my internship hours, which was all of my hours working with students while in my position. I did that through the middle school. I also went to Wisdom Quest and Lincoln Elementary.
Hi, my name is La Pantamang. I am the school social worker. This is my first year at the Mount Pleasant Community School District, and I serve all schools. I do individual sessions, about 43 to 45 students a week. I do groups at Harlan, social skills and emotional regulation. I also do life skills at Wisdom Quest on Tuesdays. My educational background is I graduated from Iowa Wesleyan College in 2012 with a BA in psychology. I will be graduating from Walden University in May of next year, hopefully in MSW, and I would like to be licensed also. Prior experience, I had about 7.5 years of community social worker, 2.5 years at Optimate Life Services. I was the program coordinator for the behavioral health intervention intervention services program. I worked 5 years at Young House Family Services. I was a family support specialist, then became a BHIS caseworker, and then I was also the caseworker at Christmore Family Treatment Center.
Okay, so first we wanted to kind of introduce what a school counselor does. This is straight from the ASCA website, which is the American School Counselor Association. So on here it talks about all the things that we do, like our qualifications, which we all have or are working towards a minimum of a master's degree in school counseling. And then we also, it talks about what we do, so we help with social, emotional, academic, and behavior needs for students. And then some appropriate duties on here too. The thing we really wanted to focus on was this down here, and that's the ideal caseload. Iowa recommends that school counselors' caseload is 250 students to 1. And so on the next slide, I have our current reality of 250 to 1. So you can see I'm the closest at 288. And then Joni, who is our other elementary school counselor, is almost double what I am at 574. And that's because there's no even way to divide us between 4 elementary schools with the numbers. And then Allie has 396, and then Sasha has almost just as much as Joni at 574. So.
Okay, and one of our big projects this year has been working towards our comprehensive school counseling program. And so we've been doing some work with the AEA and plan to continue some of that work over the next couple of years. A comprehensive school counseling program is a structured school-wide effort to support student success in their academic, career, and social emotional development. It's designed to be preventative, developmental, and data-driven. It's mostly designed to make it so that our services aren't just like a standalone service, that it's fitting in with the school community and what our school needs. You can kind of flip through the next. These are just pictures of some of the things that we've done with AEA as we've been working through some of that. And then we wanted to talk a little bit specifically, what do we do at each level? And so for elementary, as our counselors, we kind of organized ours here according to our tiers. So our tier 1 is services that we provide or assist for all students. This year, we did work to establish calming corners in all of our classrooms at the elementary level. That just gives kids a place that they can go to if they are not regulated. We taught them how to use it. We gave them some tools. We provided the teachers with some support. We also facilitate and assist with Tier 1 PBIS implementation. And so this is just the school-wide teaching of how do we behave within the schools. What does that look like? We provide morning meeting training and support for teachers, lunch bunches for building connections, and then we do twice a month lessons for Second Step, which is our curriculum that we use. And those lessons focus on growth mindset and goal setting, emotional management, empathy and kindness, and problem solving.
And then for our tier 2 and tier 3, we look at that when we know that a student needs our tier 2 or tier 3 services. We're using a screener called SABRS, and that's Social Academic Emotional Behavior Rating System or Scale. Okay. ODRs, which are office referrals, attendance, and then some teacher referrals if they're seeing things that maybe we aren't seeing in these other areas. And that looks like we can put them in individual lessons or counseling, small group counseling, which we use something called social detectives. We use zones of regulation, to name a few. And then we also have check in, check out, and we are working on getting check and connect. We are also PBIS Tier 2 facilitators, or we are members of the team. And we also practice restorative circles with our students and sometimes staff. And then we do class-wide interventions based on student need. If we see that a classroom is flagging overall in SABRS, then that's where Joni and I step in and do a classroom-wide intervention. So.
Okay, and so for the middle school, So for my counseling services, I mostly do individual or group counseling services. I do check in and check out with some of our students who are on crisis plans or maybe just need a great way to start the day. I do adjustments to home life, providing services as well in crisis situations. So some of our students who maybe struggle with suicide ideation or are struggling with depressive thoughts, I am kind of the important person for that. My other picture did not go up there for some reason, but I have a hygiene and a snack station. Those are two things that middle schoolers, especially the snack station, is the thing that they love. So I always try to have like healthier snacks in there, some things that are like I'm not having chips and things like that, just so that way if they come to school, they forget breakfast, they come to school late and they don't get school breakfast, they have something as well. And then I always provide water as well because I know that plenty of them forget to bring water bottles and then they would like to have something like that. I also have a hygiene station that has hair ties, bobby pins, tampons, pads. It's got deodorant wipes. It's got lotion, all kinds of different things for them to be able to have that they can just have and put in their lockers if they need them. I also do lunch bunches. At the beginning of the year, I did it really to help a lot of our new students who maybe weren't able to make friends super easily. Or just were very new to the district and new to the schools. Now we do it as just kind of a bonding time for people to get to know other people, to kind of have a relaxing place, because the lunchroom can be kind of noisy sometimes. I also am the person who does the 4-year plans for the middle school students. This will be my first year with that, so that we are starting those next week, so it'll be very interesting. I help a lot of our students with organization, and I also advocate for a lot of our students in classes if they're having a hard time talking to their teachers about what they need. I help a lot of them with that as well and help them communicate those things. I am the person who keeps track of the silver medal hours for the middle school, and I also help some of those students who are struggling to find opportunities find some of those opportunities. I've contacted teachers to see if they could help them with like stuff in their classroom. I had a lot of students help out at the Family Fun Fair, which we all were a big part of and helping out. I also run our student council. We are in the middle of planning our second dance, which is a spring fling, and it will be on the 25th. The students are very excited about it because it is a semi-formal, so they get to look very nice.
I know Mr. Adams is really excited about that too.
He's so excited. Sabres is a big thing that I look at as well. It helps me figure out what groups or what individuals I need to pull and look at a couple of different things and kind of the questions and how they scored. And then I look at not only their score for themselves, but also their teacher score. And then what I did this year as well for our students who could not take Sabres, I did an anonymous test that did not ask about their feelings or anything, because that is a big thing. You cannot do that without parents' consent. So I did questions that were like, what could make the school a better environment for you? What do you wish teachers knew about you, and things like that. And it's all anonymous, so they didn't have to worry about like putting their name in or anything. And I was able to get some really beneficial information from that as well. I also am the go-to person for Second Step in our building. So I am the one coordinating that for the teachers and then helping them through that as well. And then
It's been mentioned a couple of times. Could you share a little bit about Second Step?
Second Step, yeah. So Second Step is our SEL curriculum in the district. So our social emotional learning. It is in the elementary and the middle school. It has been there for a while, but it just got started in the high school as of last year or this year. I think they trialed it last year, and then it's new this year. So they have short like lessons for the students to do. They'll have like videos, they'll have warm-ups for the littler kids. The middle school I know has videos, and then they'll have like a journal prompt. And so that's a big thing that I think is really nice for our kids, because it gives them a chance to just kind of rewrite and talk about like how they're feeling or whatever they may be focusing on. Typically it's focusing on a specific skill. There's my picture of my hygiene station. And then I'm also going to talk for the high school to share with you a little bit about what Sasha's job would look like. So she does a lot of course advisement, 4-year planning. We would kind of connect on those two things since I'm taking my students' stuff, giving them to her. She does a lot of stuff with graduation progress review based on academic and future goals. She's on the high school intervention team. She does career exploration and guidance, post-secondary planning, what they want to do after school, whether that is go to a college or whether that is, go to a trade school, or if they want to work directly out of high school. She also does one-to-one short-term counseling, crisis intervention, very similar to like what I would do as well. social skills development and advocacy, and as well the second step, SEL curriculum. She also has resource referral and collaboration with staff, parents, guardians, and students. Any questions?
What is a lunch bunch?
Oh, a lunch bunch is where you have like students come into your office and you eat lunch with them, and you can facilitate, like, sometimes like for mine, it can be like two friends are not getting along. And so they'll come in and they'll eat lunch with me, and then we can kind of talk about how we can resolve the conflict. I don't know how it looks in the country, is it here somewhere?
So with Sabres, the first round of Sabres at Lincoln, we had quite a few that flagged, meaning that I was having them in individuals or small groups. And then our second round, we had a significant decrease in those flags. And so I implemented Lunch Bunch at Lincoln. And so it actually doesn't have to do with behavior. It isn't a reward, it's all students. And I have a wheel on my computer that just spins and draws 5 random kids from first grade and 5 random kids from second grade every Thursday. And so, yeah, it's a way to just connect, and for kids that don't usually get to see me, it's a way for them to also come to me, so.
What is your check-in, check-out program?
Check-in, check-out is an intervention that we have for students that are struggling with behaviors. It typically works well for kiddos that are needing that connection. And so as soon as they get to school every day, they have somebody that is a positive staff member that they check in with. They typically have a point sheet that their teacher holds on to, so throughout the day, their behaviors are getting scored and they're getting feedback. The big part of that is that feedback that they're getting from the teachers, hopefully some corrective feedback or some encouragement as to how their behaviors are doing. It provides us with some data as far as like how they're doing, if their behaviors are improving or if they're decreasing, and then it gives them that positive person that they can connect with. So my check-in, check-outs look slightly different. I'm checking in with students who are kind of just struggling with social emotional skills, or like they're struggling with being very anxious at school, being very depressed at school, things like that. And so I just kind of check in with them to see how they're feeling that day. And so I use, from our zones, there are 4 boxes that talk about like how you're feeling. It can be the red zone, the green zone, the yellow zone, and the blue zone. And so we talk in the morning, we talk about which zone you're in and how like you can be supported throughout the day. Do you need an extra break? Do you need me to like tell your teachers that you're just kind of having a rough day? Did something happen to cause that rough day? And then we check out at the end of the day to kind of see if that's changed at all.
What can we do as a board to support you more in your programs? You need more space in your buildings, or what can we do to help?
So I would speak for myself specifically. I am Lincoln and Salem, and I will say at Salem I do not have a space. So I am just finding anywhere I can when I'm seeing students, which is a problem for confidentiality, obviously. So sometimes I'm in the music room, sometimes I'm in the library, sometimes I'm in the teacher's lounge. It really just kind of depends on where I can find space. So
Kind of adding on to your question, thinking about just the interventions that we provide for kids, we recognize that kids are changing. Kids are experiencing a lot more trauma today than they were 10 years ago. So maybe even just having an open mind regarding those interventions, sending us to trainings, getting us updated curriculums to utilize, and then like getting our caseloads closer to that ASCA recommended caseload would be really helpful too.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is thank you all very much for the services you provide to our kids. Everything you've said has been excellent, but that caseload, that definitely, it bothers me. Are you maxed out right now? I mean, are you not able to provide everything that our students need?
I'll talk on that since I'm the one with the really high caseload. This year has been really hard. I am very busy from the time I get there till the time I leave. So yeah, it's been different this year. I do know that there are a lot of times, because part of our service is
scheduled things that we need to visit with kids about, but then part of it is that they need to be able to like drop in when they're having a bad day. And I know my availability for a student that just comes to school with a bad day is really slim. So I'm good at getting to those kiddos that are scheduled that I know need it, but the ones that drop in are having a rough moment, I don't always feel like I can get to them like I wish I could.
And that makes a lot of sense. So do you feel if the elementaries were consolidated, fewer buildings would help?
I haven't really thought about what that would look like, but I do know, I mean, even just taking our two numbers, there's not a nice way to split us. We've talked about it, and there's not really another way to do it. So consolidating, in my opinion, I would hope that we would be able to come up with a better plan to be able to tackle those things.
I can share for, back to like the caseload question. I see somewhere from 10 to 20 kids a day in my office, whether I have about 10 to 12 that are scheduled to come see me during that time, and then I'll typically have quite a few that'll pop in just with a wide variety of different things that are kind of going on and that they need to talk about, or sometimes they do just pop in to see me because they are middle schoolers and they want to come just say hi, which is nice, but a good majority of the time I am very busy. I know, do you want to speak at all? Law is, I know Law, she goes to all of the schools, and so she has a little bit different of a approach.
Well, I'm basically like, whatever they need, I'm there. But I have my own caseload. I see about 12, 15 kids. Right now, with the high school not having their guidance counselor, she's out, they've been calling me, which is fine. You know, in the afternoons is when they usually call me, and they'll send me an email or they'll call me and they'll be like, hey, Lockie, come over here. There's a couple kiddos. I'm here. So I'm basically there just to be their support too, but then I also have my own caseload. But yeah, it's pretty full right now, but I make it work, and whatever I need to, I make it work. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you again, and I really appreciate it.
Along those numbers, do you happen to know how this district compares to comparable size districts near us? Do you have any check-ins with?
So I came from Keokuk, and they are grade alike as well, and so they have a K-1-2 counselor and a 3-4-5. So I don't think the numbers are as close to 250, but the split in elementary is more even because they are 3 grades and 3 grades. So I know from Keokuk, that's the experience I have.
I know from when I was in Burlington and teaching, I know more from the elementary aspect because that's where I taught, but they had 1 counselor per 2 schools, so it was very similar to here. However, their caseload, I would say, was very close to Joni's, if not more, just because they are a little bit bigger than we are. But that was how it was in the elementaries. And then for middle school, they kind of have their middle school separated different than we do. But I do know that they had at least 2 in each of the buildings. However, it was obviously a little bit bigger than us. But yeah, I would say their elementaries were probably slightly more than what Joni had. But they were split between 2 buildings as well.
Well, can you share with us maybe what your best accomplishment was so far this year, or what you're most proud of? Because we know that you do great things, and you gave a variety of things, but what's those one or 2 things that might stick out?
Okay, so I think mine would be my relationships with my students. I've had a lot of students that, like at first did not want to see me, did not want to talk to me, didn't want to have anything to do with me, who eventually like opened up and now want to come see me and say hi every day. And so that's something that I've always thought I'm very good at, is building those relationships with those students, and I'm glad that I was still able to carry that from elementary to middle school. And that was something I was very worried about, jumping that big of an age gap. But I'm glad that I was still kind of able to carry that through and have those really strong relationships with those kids so they feel able to come talk to me if they need to come talk to me.
Okay, for mine, I would say at the elementary level, bringing the calming corners to the classrooms, that is something that I know like everybody felt like they needed. The teachers are really, they are dealing with a lot of behaviors and not sure how to handle a lot of different things. So I feel like that gave them an an outlet for those kids, something that they could have them go do. It taught the kids some really great skills too, and then it helps us also because they have something that they can try before they come see us. So the calming corners were a big thing that we pushed out at the beginning of the year. It took a lot of time and effort, but I feel like it really helped a lot of people.
I would say mine is Lincoln at the beginning of the year was rough, in all honesty, and the growth that we've made just as a team with the teachers, our admin, myself, our interventionists, like we've grown a lot this year, and just our behaviors are decreasing, and we're finding ways to help the students, and being a part of that is something that I've really enjoyed. So
For me, I guess it would probably be just the role, because this is the first year for me, the first year for having this role. I think going to all the schools and having that relationship with kindergartners to seniors, it's a pretty good feeling, you know, when you see like the little kids walking by and they're like, oh my gosh, Mrs. Law, I know her. They're in middle school, you know, they're coming off the bus, and then I see even kids here, they'll be like, oh my gosh, Miss Law. I think just building that relationship and also just building this role as a school social worker. And I think I'm gonna say another big thing is representation, because it really does matter to me, you know, being a person of color, being an Asian woman, it's just being there and being seen, and other minorities seeing that too. Because I have to say there's probably this one child at Van Allen, quiet, never said anything, and he's been saying hi to me. Hi, Miss Law, hi, Miss Law. And I've been talking to Miss Laura about him. She's like, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Never spoke before, but you can just see, you know, when they see someone who's representing who they are, you can see it and you can feel it. So I guess that's my accomplishment. So
I too want to thank you all for everything you've done. I don't think everyone understands the capacity that you people have. But I was wondering, are there some common instances, of common issues with students in the elementary, middle school that are taking place that you see that maybe weren't there a couple years ago but are there today?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is social media and technology, and the attention span of our children is not what it used to be. And stuff that we're dealing with is stuff that someone said this online about me, or someone posted this about me. I think at all levels it kind of goes to that, as we weren't really dealing with that a few years ago.
A big thing that I've noticed a change in is just anxiety in kids. There's been a huge spike in anxiety. So that's something that we've dealt with, but there are also so many kids that come to school that are worrying about adult problems that you have to understand why they're not soaking in the math and the reading, because they've got big stuff going on at home.
I would say very similar to middle school. Anxiety and depression is a very big thing that they're struggling. They're trying to figure out who they are as a person in middle school. And so that's a big thing, as well as like self-confidence. Trying to make themselves like feel good about themselves and good in their bodies. And with social media, that's also very hard because, you know, they're constantly being told how they should look, how they don't look pretty enough, or they don't look good enough, and how they should look. And so that's a really hard thing, especially in middle school, because they're just so aware of how their bodies are changing and how they don't look like other people do.
Thank you.
So do you get funding for your hygiene and your snack?
Oh, no, that comes out of my own pocket. I pay that. I pay for all of that, yes. So I did have, since it was my first year as a counselor, I did have like some family friends and some of my family donate some of that stuff, like my deodorant wipes and stuff. Like people had donated that at the beginning of the year, but all of the snacks that came out of my own pocket.
That's a great idea. We have tours of those trash stuff, or not 1,000 of for elementary come through. We have to feed them about every hour.
They are always hungry. Always hungry in middle school.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much. Dr. Butler's going
So Sasha would have been here. She would have continued on with her presentation and talked about DCAP. This is something, part of DCAP, District Career and Academic Planning, is that we share this with the board each year. So if you were here with us last year, you would have remembered this. So before we talk about DCAP, let's talk about ICAP. ICAP is the Individual Career and Academic Plan. Back in 2016, it was decided that we need to have for each one of our students an individual career and academic plan. Beginning in 8th grade, which it sounds like they're going to start that next week with our 8th graders, they develop a 4-year plan that is reviewed and revised all throughout high school. It ensures that all of our students complete their core curriculum. It helps them identify post-secondary education and career options and goals, and it sets them up to complete coursework to support those goals. There's 5 essential components of the ICAP. One of them is self-understanding, just really being aware of what their options are, provides them information about various careers, gives them an opportunity to explore those careers, and then also an opportunity to explore different post-secondary options, and also some career options beyond. When we talk about core curriculum, we're just talking about what it takes to graduate. We want 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies, and then that financial literacy. Students receiving a diploma here in Mount Pleasant have to have all 48 credits in order to graduate with a minimum of 12 credits per year. So under ICAP, again, there's the career exploration, so we try to make sure all of our students have an opportunity for various tours of industries, either virtual or in real life. We have career fairs, interviews with professionals. We try to bring in community partners and other professionals to provide presentations or opportunities to meet with students through classroom presentations, job shadowing, opportunities for post-secondary exploration, visits to colleges, campus tours, visit days. We also have what's called a career information system. This is required by the state. Ours is called Career Navigator. It's an online tool where students take a lot of surveys and determine what their areas of interest are, and it really helps to inform their 4-year plan and a course selection beyond that. And then with the post-secondary decisions, we start having conversations about possible career choices, FAFSA completion, job applications, resumes, things of that nature. So all of these things are components of the ICAP that we make sure all students have an opportunity to engage with. So in order for the ICAP to be possible, we have to have what's called a DCAP. So this is our District Career and Academic Plan. This is how the district's going to make sure all of our students have an opportunity to develop and then implement an ICAP. We have a team of people that work to create and review and revise this plan each year. This plan includes all the activities that we engage in throughout the year, starting in 8th grade. It's designed by the team, and it's kept online. We submit this in May. It's due May 4th, and then reviewed. And then we get a score telling us areas of strength and areas that we want to improve for the next year. Here are a list of our members in the past: middle school counselor, high school counselor, administrators at the high school, at the middle school, Mr. Rogers, the counselor at the high school, counseling secretary, teachers, myself, and others are part of the conversations that are ongoing. So currently we have the plan pretty well fleshed out. We're paying attention to how we've done in the past. As I said, each year the plan is scored. Back in 2023, we got 9 out of 36 points. Worked on it a little bit more, got 17 out of 36 last year. We're going to continue to improve. Some of the areas that we were looking at to improve on this year, some of the feedback we got was to make sure that we're providing additional opportunities for students, making sure that we're providing more input, getting more input from invested parties, so looking outside of just the school to get input from our community partners, making sure that we're documenting services provided for special populations, so some of our students that have IEPs or some of our ELL students, what kind of opportunities we're providing for those students, and then again, building up those relationships with our community partners. Any questions about the DCAP or the ICAP? Okay.
All right, superintendent's report.
Reconnected here. Nope. No. No. Nothing. Yeah, just regular airport. I might not, maybe I need to sign in again. It's been, because I'm not seeing it. Okay. Need to sign you out and sign back in? Yeah. Great. Just hit down the bottom right corner, hit sign in, and then hit my email there. And it should send an email. Sorry, guys. If we had to, we could use the other screen. I don't know why it's not. Why am I not seeing the? If you hit sign in again down there, and then hit my email. So it should send me an email. That's probably a good sign. Hey, hey. Thank you. Okay, let's see. All right. Where are we here?
First item of your superintendent report.
Okay, so, yeah, yep, thank you, Eric. All right, First item on the superintendent's report is facilities master plan schedule and survey update. You've got that in your packet. These are just some dates to keep in mind here. Tomorrow, April 15th at 2 o'clock, we do have a meeting with some of you that are part of the leadership committee with SVPA, and we're going to look again at the priorities of the plan, the various plan elements, and then do any refining and prioritizing. That's at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Sunday, April 21, the survey closes. As of this morning, we were at about 600 respondents, which is good. I think it'd be great to get to 1,000. I know that the postcards are hitting mailboxes, so hopefully that pushes us up to that mark. Wednesday, April 23rd, so next week, the survey report, all of that information will go to the Donovan group, so it'll be compiled and complete. And then Thursday, the leadership committee, the large group committee is going to meet from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock to discuss the survey results. And then 2 weeks from tonight, Monday, April 28th, that same survey report results that'll be shared and reviewed with the whole board. That'll be an open meeting, that we'll live stream and everything that evening. So, and then depending on where we're at with all of that, the regular board meeting on May 12th to perhaps meet and consider the survey report and the master plan and where we want to go with that based on the data that we received, based on the report, based on the conversation that we have on the 28th. So that's the update there. Director District 2 special election dates, that's in your packet as well. All of these things are on the website as well. So we are, we're down to here now. April 18th, which is this Friday, no later than 5 p.m. It's the deadline to submit nomination paperwork. And if anybody has filled out that paperwork and turned it in, same date, same time is the deadline to file a written notice to withdraw from the election. And then Tuesday, May 13th is the special election date, Tuesday, May 13th. And I have some information on that as well. We spoke with the county, excuse me. We spoke with the county auditor last week, and these are some of the details on the election. May 13th is the date. The polls will open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The polling place is going to be Manning Hall on South Jackson in Mount Pleasant. And we did confirm the polling site, the number of sites, all of that is at the discretion of the auditor's office. The district doesn't have anything to do with where the polling sites are, the number of polling sites that are open. That is at the discretion of the auditor's office. Early voting and absentee voting will be available. And then this had come up several times, the cost of the election, and again, this is straight from the county auditor, from Robin in the auditor's office. The cost of the election is a combination of the cost of printing the ballots, postage, any kind of postage that is involved, newspaper notifications, any other paper costs that are involved, paying precinct officials, make that a little bigger, paying precinct officials, training precinct officials, and laptop updates. Anytime they have an election, they have to update their laptops for that specific election, and those are all part of the cost. I think, if I remember correctly, Robin thought that this election would cost between $5,000 and $6,000, is what she told us. So that's the update there. The next item is transportation facility update. This is in your packet as well. What I included there is the agenda that we went through on Thursday at Wiley's, J.C. Wiley's, with the with the subcontractors. So you can look at it, it's really coming along quite well. Drywall in bus service, drywall's finished, ready to paint. Makeup air unit is set there. Shaw is working on the wiring. Now that the liner panels are finished, the liner panels, some of the interior is drywall. In other spots, it's metal liner panels where you need something a bit more substantial. So the buildings and grounds building, drywall is ready for finish. Crane support in there is installed. Again, electrical. Winger is finishing up. Water lines, gas lines. Ready for guttering. They don't have guttering done on those buildings yet. At least they didn't as of Thursday. The central receiving building, everything is kind of at that same point. On the exterior, the bus plug-ins back on the north, the plug-ins and the light poles are set back there. Concrete pads and approaches to the buildings. Most of them are done, getting ready for final paving. And so yeah, it's come along really well. We got another meeting on Thursday, May 15th, and substantial completion is, the date for substantial completion is still the end of May. So I think, that should be a date that they're gonna hit. Mike and Derek were at that meeting. I don't know if you guys have any comments.
I would just like to say, it looks super.
Yeah.
And the progress is moving along. And if anyone remembers what the old bus barn looks like, and what the physical plan is and so forth, this is just amazing.
Right, I think it looks really nice right now. It's gonna come together pretty quickly now that the weather's shaped up. The trees were removed on the north side by the railroad tracks.
Right.
So with those trees removed, it makes the appearance a lot
It looks
better.
better. Chad's team took care of that. So, yep. Okay, Mr. Wilson, would you give us an update? We've got prom and graduation coming up, so you want to update us, please?
Yes, 19 days till the prom. 19 days, May 3rd, first Saturday in May. Promenade will start at 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. Doors will open about 3:45 or 3:30ish. So people can come in and be seated. We will then follow the promenade, the high school dance. The prom dance will be here in the high school gym, 8:30 to 11, and then we'll kick them all out. And by 11:30, they're to be at the bowling alley where the after prom is, and it'll have the bowling, the food, the fun, the hypnotist show, and we hopefully wrap things around 2:30ish, 3ish. It's right in there. And that's the update for prom. It's the theme is City of Lights. City of Lights. So I'm sure they're getting ready to. They've got all the stuff ordered to decorate the gym for the promenade and the dance, so they'll be ready for that. And then in 34 days, it's graduation time. May 18th. It's coming fast, you guys. Coming fast. And it will be 2:30 p.m. here in the high school gym. We will graduate our class of 2025. It's unbelievable. I'll graduate with them too. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Wilson. Let's see, last thing in the superintendent's report is a legislative update. I pulled this straight from Dave Doughton, who is the lobbyist from the School Administrators of Iowa. I pulled this from his report, and probably the biggest thing, the thing that we've kind of known, but we've been waiting for, a 2% SSA, state supplemental aid. It's a 2% increase, which increases the per pupil allocation to just short of $8,000 per pupil. So 2%, the Senate's passed it, the House has passed it. I don't know that the governor has signed it yet, but I'm certain that she will. It increases the appropriation to the Transportation Equity Fund by 5%. We've always been right at the average costs and not over on those costs, so we haven't been able to access the transportation equity funds. It does increase the operational sharing cap from 21 to 25 students. I think that's a good thing. The only operational sharing that we do right now is with the city for our school resource officer, but it does give opportunity, for things like guidance counselors are part of operational sharing. You could share one with another district. If we felt like an additional school resource officer was something that we wanted to look into, there is operational sharing dollars for that. So it increases from 21 to 25. So obviously we're not anywhere near that. We just have the one sharing opportunity, or the one sharing agreement right now. Things that have gone to the governor, the math counts bill, like literacy, one of the things that this legislation will do will set up professional development for teachers, screenings for students, assessments for students, and then individualized math plans, like literacy plans. That's effective July 1. To the governor, electronic devices in school, including student access during instructional hours and school safety plans. That'll be effective July 1. I've not seen some of the details of that and how that rolls out for school districts. Some things about charter schools. This was interesting. House File 392 would allow school districts and accredited non-publics to apply to maintain a year-round school calendar at the high school level, and then some things regarding military families and Purple Star School Initiative to honor military families. So those are things that have gone to the governor for her signature. And that is that's the superintendent's report.
All right, next we have board committee reports. You have the notes. Most of you attended both of them. Anybody want to share anything specific from either of those committee meetings?
Yes, at the site and policy committee, when we talked about the District 2 special election, we were all in consensus that we were hoping that they would stick to the normal number of precincts for polling places as to not confuse anyone and to show a good faith that we are trying to reach the people in the district where they're at. It's kind of unfortunate that it is only up to the office at the courthouse and they made the decision, but it was our wishes that it would be the other way. So.
All right, other board communication?
Yeah, I have one thing to report back to the board and let the audience know that 2 weeks ago, Josh, Mike, and I met with a group of citizens, mainly from the Salem area, concerned about the master planning process and how that would affect Salem Elementary. So there were nine people, mainly had students currently at the elementary or connections to it. At the end of that, during the meeting, I kind of gave some information on the master planning process and then showed him some leadership committee notes that related to Salem Elementary. So after that, I wrote up notes from our meeting and I emailed it to all the board members. So that's my report to you guys, to the board, as we all keep working towards the master planning process.
Thank you. We have no unfinished business, so we'll move on to our new business. Consent items before unfinished business. So consent items, personnel and open enrollment.
Yeah, and we just, personnel is part of your packet, and so, both are part of your packet. So you can take a look there.
I do have one question on the resignation side. Some of them say end of school year. A couple of the coaches say end of the 2025 season. Is that in this school year?
This school year, correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so probably end of the 2024-25 school year.
I think that would be a little bit more clear, because
Okay.
some of those middle school coaching seasons just happen in a small chunk of time, so.
Okay.
Any other questions on personnel or open enrollment? If not, motion to approve consent items?
Also moved.
Second?
Second?
Jessica, roll call?
Lent,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
All right, so there's no unfinished business, so new business. Our first item is consideration to approve the fiscal year 26 certified budget. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Roll call?
Lent,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve the second reading of School Board Policy 900 series, the community relations.
Okay, so all of these policies, this is the second reading. I went through them again at the policy committee meeting. The ones in the yellow at the bottom are just number changes. That's all that they are. And the reason that they're number changes is because the School Board Association does not have these policies in their reference manual. I reached out, asked them for these particular policies, examples, and they don't have them. And they said, we know that districts have these policies. They are part of our 900 series, and so we just changed the number and we put them at the end of the series so that they'll always be at the end of the series. And if for some reason we would need to change the number because there were policies that came up ahead of them or they pushed out those numbers, we can just change the numbers. So they are only number changes, no language changes, and all of these have been posted. Happy to go over any one of them if you'd like me to, but I would recommend you approve second reading.
Any questions?
Am I able to ask questions from the non-highlighted ones?
Sure, of course.
Okay. It has come up, someone reached out to me asking clarification on regulation 903.05R1 for the distribution of materials.
Okay.
Under the first section of
Okay.
guidelines.
Let me go to that. 903, 905.
903.05.
Okay, 903.05R1. Right there.
All right, so the 6 guidelines there are what is restricted from being distributed to students, but right below that was the question. Distribution of materials categories 1 through 4, any student is prohibited. The question was, why is categories 5 and 6 able to be distributed to a substantial number, or other way around, just a substantial number of students is prohibited? Do we know the reason why those two? And if we need to look into it and come back, I just want to be able to provide the answer to the person that had the question. But
Not student insulting or fighting words.
I couldn't come up with a reason why there would be a differential.
Aaron, I will reach out and find out the answer to that question. This is again, this is the reference manual language, but it's certainly a valid question. I will reach out and find out. And if you wanted to approve the 900 series with without that one, we could. I can come back to it, whatever you'd like to do.
I don't think we need to exclude it if I'm just able to do some research as to clarification on that guideline. And this is one that does come straight from, I mean, we're just adopting it from the School Board Association.
That is correct.
And then, of course, with all of our policies, it references the Iowa code that it comes from, so.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, that was just a question.
I will research that for you.
Motion to approve the second reading of the 900 series.
I'm so moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Blend,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve second reading of School Board Policy 402.04, gifts to employees.
Okay, and the reason this is in here is because this was in our 900 series, and it's not in the 900 series of the reference manual. It's in the 400 series. So we're moving gifts to employees, the policy that governs that, to the 400 series.
Motion to approve second reading.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Blend,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve second reading of School Board Policy 208, ad hoc committees.
And again, there were a couple of policies in our 900 series governing committees appointed by the board, and the ISB reference manual puts all of that under ad hoc committees in the 200 series. So that's the change, and again, the number would be consistent with the reference manual. I recommend you approve second reading.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Blend,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve technology lease purchase agreement.
Okay. At Mr. Hampton's request, I did not print out all of these materials as I did at our committee meeting. They're all posted online, and so what I did do is they're all here. So what I included is this is the email from our attorney who reviewed the lease and gave us instructions for tonight as you consider the technology lease agreement with Apple Financial Services. So, through passing this resolution, and I have, if you want a copy of the resolution, I do have a copy of the resolution with me tonight, a hard copy, and digital here as well. It's just not in all of your packets. Through this passing of the resolution, the board will be ratifying, affirming, and confirming its prior approval of the April 26, 2019 Master Lease Purchase Agreement. So in 2019, April 26, 2019 is when we entered into the very first lease agreement with Apple Financial Services. So, and that was the first lease purchase agreement that we entered into for laptop devices and other devices from Apple. So 3 years later, we entered into another lease, and so this will be the third lease. And so you're amending the master lease agreement, the original master lease agreement. You'll be approving, or you are, by resolution, you're approving Exhibit A, Schedule Number 3, to that master lease purchase agreement, which details the payment schedule and the equipment list in Exhibit 1. You are waiving any potential application of Board Policy 701.3 which concerns bidding and purchasing. And the reason that you do that is because Apple, that's the equipment that we want. It's proprietary. Nobody else is obviously going to be able to provide that. So you're waiving that policy for this resolution. So at the meeting, the board should have before it, and again, I'm saying to you, I didn't print it out. It's all here. The master lease purchase agreement, amendment number 1, Exhibit A, which I'll scroll to here in just a second. Amendment number 1, Exhibit A, Schedule number 3, Exhibit 1, including Exhibit 1, Exhibit B, which is the acceptance certificate when we finally receive all the computers, Exhibit D, bank qualified designation, which this is. We're not going to have $10 million worth of borrowing in the next fiscal year, so that's what that is about. Exhibit F, which is insurance coverage requirements, and then Exhibit G, which is the incumbency certificate, and then the invoice from Apple. So that's all part of the resolution. Again, all of this has been reviewed by our attorney. So I can scroll down through here to the resolution itself, the language of the resolution. Again, you're updating the master lease purchase agreement between Apple and the lessor, which is us. This is the original master lease purchase agreement from April 26, 2019. The Honorable Dave McCoy signed the original lease purchase agreement. That's the end of that. The amendment, so this is the language of the amendment to the lease purchase agreement. Exhibit A, which is schedule number 3. This is the payment schedule. You can see the payment dates. And we do know, as we discussed at the Finance Committee meeting, when the school year is complete and we receive our laptops back from the students, we do have a guaranteed price on those laptops for the buyback. We are still considering how many of those laptops we want to hold back for use in coming years. And so that's to be determined yet. But the buyback amount is we believe, Jessica, it will be sufficient to cover at least the first lease purchase payment and perhaps some of the second, depending on the number of machines that we sell back. Total amount is just over 1.3 million, 1.312 over the 3 years. And this is the list of the equipment, some carts, the iPads, the Apple Care with the iPads, Logitech combo cases for the iPads that are going to be traveling, MacBooks as well for staff and administration, Apple Care on those items as well. So everything that we've discussed, we discussed in the entire process. The acceptance certificate is here as well, which we sign off on when we receive everything. Bank qualified designation, that again says we will not exceed $10 million in borrowing during the calendar year from May 1. We did check with our attorney on that. Even if we were to approve a master plan, even if our community did approve a general obligation bond, we would not receive those proceeds in the calendar year, is what our attorney let us know. And finally, insurance coverage and the incumbency certificate, all there in the lease document, and then the invoice for payment number 1. So unless you have questions, I would recommend that you approve the resolution. You can read it however you want to there on the agenda. Would recommend that you approve.
Motion to approve the
Well, I've got it on the agenda there.
Motion to approve the schedule number 3 dated May 1st, 2025 to the master lease purchase agreement between Apple and the Mount Pleasant School District. Second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Blint,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Hampton. Hampton,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Maher,
Yes.
Hustenga,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve the 25-26 agreement with Four Oaks Student and Family Services.
Okay, so Dr. Butler's going to talk a bit about our Four Oaks program, or the programming that Four Oaks supports, and our agreement with them.
All right, so we are going to continue our amazing partnership with Four Oaks. We've been doing a lot of work with Four Oaks, and we want to continue that work with them. Starting up at the top, we have quarterly meetings with Four Oaks. Brittany Roberts comes in and does a wonderful job with our administrative team on a quarterly basis. We're going to continue that work, coming in and helping us to guide and lead the work that we're doing within our buildings. Then below that, she comes in August. Every August, we have a day of professional learning where teachers have a chance to choose between several sessions. There's about 30 sessions to choose from. Brittany will come in and do at least 4 of those sessions related to trauma-informed care, adult wellness, different topics that relate to our overall vision with Four Oaks. So she'll do 4 of those sessions on August 20th. That's that second line item. That third one is the work that she does with our mentoring. We have 5 mentoring meetings throughout that first year for our year 1 induction teachers around adult wellness. So those are the dates there. Well, she'll work one-on-one with those, or in small groups with those induction year 1 teachers. The next are 12 flexible half days. That'll be used in a variety of ways with our administrators, our staff, coaching, consultation, PD, whatever the need is. We've already got 3 of those 12 dated and spoken for. There are 9 remaining dates to be used up. And then that next one is something that's new this year. We found that in having those conversations with our administrative team on those quarterly dates, we had a lot of really good conversations and wanted to have continued conversations at specific buildings. And so we built in time quarterly for her to meet, or for Four Oaks, Brittany Roberts, to meet with our building administrators one-on-one for coaching conversations. So each quarter, they'll each have 1 hour to meet with her to talk through how implementation is going at their building, what needs they have, and what additional supports she can provide for them. So we're really excited about that opportunity for our building leaders. And then that last one will continue with our quarterly book studies, which have been really, really successful for us. What questions do you have about the Four Oaks plan?
Looks good.
I would just mention as well, it's another piece of the program. You know, the counselors and social workers spoke tonight. Four Oaks is another cog in that wheel of serving our teachers and how they best serve our students, you know, with all of their needs.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Butler. Motion to approve the 25-26 25-26 agreement with Four Oaks.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Lynn,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Next, we have motion to approve the 24-25 student registration fees.
So, the registration fees, you've got the list there. It shows the regional school districts, area school districts. Our fees this year, for this current year, $60 at all levels. There was no change from 23-24. We're currently in 24-25. The recommendation from the Finance Committee is to is no change from that $60 that would remain at that level. Would recommend that you approve.
Motion to approve 25-26 student registration fees.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Lynn,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve the 25-26 hot lunch and breakfast prices.
Okay, so the spreadsheet that you have in front of you, again, it's just regional school districts. Some of them are blank. They didn't answer the survey, or they answer the because Jessica had sent this out to her counterparts in these districts. So what we have are those that returned the questions. So same with registration fees. We reached out to the other districts, obviously. We had some discussion at the Finance Committee meeting. I did reach out to Shay Cook, who is the Director of Food Service Programs at the state level at the Department of Education. And I just said, Shay, we've looked at our balance, our overall balance. Here are our current meal prices. What do you recommend? Do you have a recommendation for our breakfast and lunch prices? And so she took a look, and we had additional conversation in the Finance Committee meeting regarding where our prices are at. You can see in the area we're a bit lower, which is good. However, she did caution us or encourage us to have some conversation, because you just don't know where meal prices are going to go, and so is it important to keep some pace with that. She said, if you fill out the worksheet that we do every year from the federal hot lunch program, it's going to recommend a 10-cent increase. It's going to recommend a 10-cent increase across the board to all of our meal prices. So we did talk as a Finance Committee. Do we, we have that balance, which is going to get some spent down with equipment requests. Do we leave them the same? Do we go with a 5-cent increase across the board, or a 10-cent increase across the board, or some kind of combination? And we decided to leave that conversation for the full board for tonight, and consider what you'd like to do for those costs, or those prices.
So these prices are what grow that total that we've been shown in nutrition fund, is that correct?
No, not necessarily. So we received a lot of federal funding during the COVID era, I should say, and a lot of that was due to supply chain issues. So there were 3 rounds of additional funding, and then of course they gave us funding while COVID was going on, where schools could offer free meals to students. So the additional funding is basically the result of all of the federal funds that came to schools' way. So we are not unique that we have a very large balance right now. schools across the state are in the same situation that we are.
But we're being held to a requirement to spend that down, is that correct?
All schools are.
Yeah.
That's a requirement. I don't know if it's state level or federal level, but to have 3 months of operating costs, and that is your full balance.
And I understand that after speaking with the director, you know, we're going to be purchasing some new equipment.
We are.
Is that going to resolve the
Not
surplus?
completely. Not completely, but as food costs continue to rise, then it's definitely going to help because you only get a specific amount per meal reimbursed from the federal and state level. So that does not cover the cost of a free meal 100%. So you do need to have a balance there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm getting at. So
Sure.
that provides a buffer and kind of can be applied to
Correct.
pay for.
I will mention as well, we have not, now we don't negotiate, the food service workers are not part of a organized group, but we have not set the pay rates, the hourly rates for our food service workers yet. The intention would be, you know, we've been behind in that for a few years. We've been trying to catch up, and the intention would be as well to try to catch up appropriately as we did with our paraeducators, and so that's going to affect that balance as well.
So, in essence, the price that students pay for meals end up paying the salaries of our food service workers?
Yes, because it's self-sufficient. Yes.
But up to 50% of our students, are they on free and reduced?
Yes.
So this price increase or whatever we're charging really doesn't change that.
No. A reduced meal, a reduced breakfast will continue to be 30 cents, and a reduced lunch will be 40 cents. And then free is free, correct?
So the conversation we had at Finance Committee meeting was, one of the conversations we had was 5 cents versus 10 cents, so that so there's not a big jump at some point, so we don't find ourselves in a position where we have to say, okay, with all of these food prices now, we've been charging this, and now we're gonna have to go up 15 or 20 cents. So the conversation that we did have in Finance Committee meeting was, does 5 cents sound reasonable over nothing, or better than 10 cents? So we had those conversations at Finance Committee meeting as well. So really, we're left with somebody making a motion on what they.
It could be some combination as well. I mean, if you look at our secondary lunch at $2.75, you know, these are, and all of the costs that you, excuse me, all of the prices that you see here are for the current school year. So these other districts are going to be considering what they want to do for next year as well. You can see many of them are up over $3. The closest would be Van Buren at $2.80. So even if you went a dime on the secondary lunches, you know, at $2.85, we're still very reasonable. She did recommend. She recommended an increase in breakfast prices as well, as you can see, much different than some of the other districts. But it certainly is a board decision.
So in the finance discussion, I think I've seen a couple different models with housing and rental rates. And I've seen it where you have to make those big jumps, and it's not fun, it's not pleasant. I've also seen it where we do the incremental every year. It's just, yes, a little bit of change every single year to keep you on pace. I'm gonna go back to the worksheet, I guess, and if it recommends 10 cents, I'll make a motion to raise it to 10 cents that the worksheet would show.
Across all of the categories.
Across all categories.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussions or questions? Jessica, roll call. Blint? Yes. Mullen?
Yes.
Hampton?
No.
Maher?
Yes.
Husinga?
Yes.
Williamson?
No.
All right. Next, we have consideration to approve 25-26 substitute teacher pay.
Okay, same thing. This is the information that we received back from our inquiry. You can see, well, the middle column is the full day substitute teacher pay rate, the middle column. The column on the right is long-term substitute teacher. So for us, long-term, and that's defined differently at different school districts. For us, it's someone who is in the same assignment for 10 days or more. You know, oftentimes that's a maternity situation. So if someone is in that assignment for 10 days or more, where they're doing, you know, they're having to pick up planning and those kinds of things, it's a higher amount. So again, you can see the districts that responded. Mount Pleasant, our daily rate is $145. Our long-term rate is $175. The Finance Committee recommendation was to go to $150 in our daily rate, and then we did the percentage on that. It was just over 3%. So the recommendation was to apply that to the long term, and the long term would go to $181 per day for a long-term substitute.
Is there any questions on that? Motion to approve the recommendation from the Finance Committee of 3%.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call. Blint? Yes. Mullen?
Yes.
Hampton?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Husinga?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve transportation facility change orders.
Okay, there are a couple of change orders to the facility. Some relocation of power for an air compressor, some supplemental framing to hang makeup air units. That's the first one. Number 5, change order number 5, and then change order number 6. Let's see here. Let me get to it. Well, where is my change order number 6? Let me go here. Oh, I can get it. Sorry about that. The change order number 6 would include, it included some different electrical for the hot water heater, and then additional remotes for the 9 overhead garage doors. So you can see the total of change orders. We started that project, the bid price was just over $3,028,000. We've added short of $20,000 in change orders. And so the new total sum is $3,049,000. And I hate seeing change orders when they come through, but the reality is it's less than 1% of, it's about 0.6 of 1% of the total cost. So would recommend you approve.
Motion to approve change order number 5 and 6 for the transportation facility.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call. Blint? Yes. Mullen?
Yes.
Hampton?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Husinga?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve fiscal year 26 construction and penny sales tax spending plan.
Okay, oh, well, there's number 6 right there beside number 5. Sorry about that. Okay, this, I'll make this bigger. We've talked about this at length. We've gone over it in work sessions. We've gone over it in committee meetings as well. I won't go item by item since we've done all of that. The only changes to the list since our last conversation have been, I'll get down here to the bottom, and I will mention I'm holding Wisdom Quest, the construction of Wisdom Quest, a placeholder at that amount. We had a really good meeting on Thursday with our architect and our local sorry? Yeah, Davis Homes, thank you. And the opportunity that might be there for a modular home builder. I mean, we would still have to draw this up, and it would have to be bid, for this kind of cost. We had a great conversation on what a modular home builder might be able to provide for and save some costs on that. So that conversation is ongoing. I have held the place for that in this list here. The two things that were added at Howe, the thermal pane window replacements on the south that they've just failed. We did get a bid for that, a quote for that at $5,000, and then I did mention this at the committee meeting, a carpet extractor, which we currently don't have. We have a carpet cleaner, but we don't have a hot water extractor for about $2,500. The total for the year on projects and such then, and again, one of the large items on this is our bus purchase. We accounted for the 2 new buses that we will be taking delivery of after July 1. Total of $1.286 million. Again, I won't go through all these figures. We've done that several times. Unless you want me to, happy to. Would recommend that you approve the penny sales tax spending plan.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Blends,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinka,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve bus camera quote.
Okay, so the 2 buses that we recently took delivery of, they do not come with surveillance cameras, and so this is the cost and the installation, the equipment and the installation cost to outfit those buses with cameras. Would recommend that you approve.
Motion to approve bus camera quote.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Blends,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinka,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve 25-26 open enrollment application.
Okay, and so you have the applications in your packet. Just for the confidentiality of the students involved, I won't put them up here. The question for the board: these applications came in after the March 1 deadline. And there was no good cause reason. Open enrollment after the deadline does make provision if there are good cause reasons. Could be a health reason or a pervasive harassment reason. I think those are the 2.
I sent the board the documents from the Department of Education that lists all those
Okay.
good cause reasons they all.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. The question for the board is really, how you want to handle these applications that come after March 1, that don't have a good cause reason with them. And we've had some of this discussion before on related matters like the 90-day ineligibility period. You've had some conversation on that about how you want to handle that. This is just, it's an open enrollment request after the deadline. I think it's important to consider what you want to do. It sets precedent for how we go forward. Is certainly a decision for the board to make.
So really, we're left up to, you can have conversations, or somebody can make a motion to approve or deny the open enrollment request, and then we vote.
Just so I have this straight, this is the first situation we've had where it's after the open enrollment deadline on March 1st. The other ones we've had are mainly the athletic waivers.
The ones mid-year would have fallen into that same category, but it was a partial year and not a full year. These would be last year we didn't have any that came for the full school year after March 1st.
And I'm under the assumption that this doesn't stop the student from attending the district that they want to attend.
The reality is, just sharing the reality, is that if the student registers and enrolls at the school district, it then becomes the responsibility of the receiving district.
Because I want the students to do what's best for them, not deny that. But at the same time, we have to stay consistent and.
But the money will not go with that student.
The
other district has to approve that student without any funds.
Correct.
Versus if we're approving, we're saying that's fine, and the funds go with them.
Correct.
Then we've set a precedent in the future, and it's the deadline.
And while it it is designated for us to make the decision, we're still guided by two separate Iowa laws. Pursuant to Iowa Code Section 282.18 and Iowa Administrative Code 281-17 outlines the deadlines and what constitutes a good cause. So it isn't necessarily discretionary to us. To a certain extent it is, but we have guidelines that tell us what good cause is. While two of these presented an understandable request reasoning, even in the application that they filled out, they did not mark any of the good cause reasonings that are listed under Iowa Code. So yes, consistency is important, but also adhering to the laws that dictate this process. And I also want to make it known that there is an appeal process if the families so choose, but it does require going to Iowa District Court. So it doesn't sound like a fun process, but there is an appeal process available if it comes to it.
But that's out of our hands.
Correct.
Yes.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
So they are separate. Because they're separate applications, they're separate items.
Would somebody like to make a motion first? We'll call them student number 1.
Yeah, item 10.
Item 10.
Or excuse me, item M.
Item M.
I will make a motion not to approve the application for item
I would second that.
Roll call. Blend? Yes. Mullen?
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Husinga,
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve open enrollment request after the deadline. So action item N. Motion to approve or deny, please.
I would make a motion to deny based on the fact there were no good cause reasons stated.
Second,
Second.
roll call. Lenz? Yes. Mullen?
Yes.
Hampton?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Husinga?
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
And the last motion to consider approving of open enrollment request, item O.
I'll make a motion to deny the open enrollment request.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call. Lenz? Yes. Mullen?
Yes.
Hampton?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Husinga?
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve overnight trip requests for the JV and varsity baseball on June 13th of 2025.
Okay, so you have that in your packet. The high school JV and varsity baseball teams, they'd like to attend the College World Series in Omaha on Saturday. The funding for this would be from the fundraiser that the teams did, they do during Old Treasures. They've arranged to have the teams play a JV and a varsity game at Atlantic over on the west side of the state on Friday evening. They would stay in Atlantic, travel to Omaha on Saturday, attend a 1 p.m. game, and then return home at the conclusion of the game. About 35 people traveling with coaches and players. I would recommend that you approve.
Motion to approve overnight trip request.
So moved.
Second,
I would second.
roll call. Lenz? Yes. Mullen?
Yes.
Hampton?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Husinga?
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
All right, next we have a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.51I to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation, and individual requests a closed session. Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
I will so move.
Second,
Second.
roll call. Lenz? Yes. Mullen?
Yes.
Hampton?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Husinga?
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Thank you.